One. All right. So, hi everyone again. I'm going to discuss an interesting topic about mobile learning or M learning. My name is Rohaida Zipangkoga. So, first we have to know what is mobile learning. So, it says here that it is learning across multiple contexts through social and content interactions using personal electronic devices. So it's a form of distance education. M learners use mobile device educational technology at their time convenience. So it's not really about what type of application, what type of device you're using, but it's more of like a distance education that whenever you go out of your class, how are you going to continue learning using the device that you have. So it says here time convenience. So whenever you are at the bus or at home, you use this kind of mobile learning to continuously learn. And it says here also that M learning, it says here, um, let me just uh, try this out, okay? Uh, this is the first time I used this, so let's try. I say laser point. Cannot be seen. Anyway, so there, let's say, yeah, all right, there you go. I can do that now. So M-learning technologies include handheld computers, MP3 players, notebooks, mobile phones, and tablets. M-learning focuses on the mobility of the learner, interacting with portable technologies using mobile tools for creating learning aids and materials becomes an important part of informal learning. So it's more of like an informal learning, but nowadays, most of the some universities or even companies they train their workers through kind of learning like this. So slowly by slowly, this is going to be recognized because of the high technologies that we have now. So it's getting more popular in every schools, every institution to use mobile learning. All right. So also, M learning is convenient in that is accessible from virtually anywhere. So I had this. Company before that we do virtual learning. So we use Zoom or Google Hangout as a tool for us for the trainer to discuss about the topic that we have to learn. So I can see different people from different places, like from Mindanao, from Luzon, from Visayas. So we get to listen and we get to see the PowerPoint or the slides that the trainer is showing us while discussing. So it's very interactive because everyone in the screen can talk, can mute um, their screen. So I we tried that many times in a learning. It's very essential because I was able to learn from the um, from the trainer. All right. So it also says here that sharing is almost instantaneous among everyone using the same content, which leads to the reception of instant feedback in tips. This highly active process has proven to increase exam scores from the 50th to the uh, 70th percentile and cut the dropout rate in technical fields by 22%. So this is actually very effective. It's actually it's not going to be an entire. It's actually very effective to some countries to use mobile learning because it's actually supports the learning process. So that could be it's we still use the traditional way of learning, but at the same time, this is a very good support to have a strong foundation for your students to continue learning whenever they go out of their classroom. So second one, you see here, it says, okay, come back. It says here, M-learning also brings strong portability by replacing books and notes with small devices filled with tailored learning contents. M-learning has the added benefit of being cost effective as the price of digital content on tablets is falling sharply compared to the traditional media like books, CD, DVD, because it's hardly to find books and CD and DVDs nowadays. So most of the time you can find the materials on their cell phone and their tablets, and because of too much competition on these devices, it's a lot affordable nowadays compared before. And yes, it says here one digital content, I'm sorry, one digital textbook, from instance, costs one third to half the price of paper textbook. And it's even heavy, if you have smaller kids and you want to make sure that they can bring all their important textbooks, you choose to have it saved in one device so it wouldn't be hard for them, and for their physical health as well, because it's not advisable for kids to bring a lot of books right on their shoulder. And let's talk about the history, where it all began. So, concept of M-learning was given by Alan Kay in 1970s. He joined Xerox Corporation's Palo Alto Research Center and formed a group to develop Dynabooks. It was called Dynabook before. So the device was made only for the learning of the students. So you couldn't access any other things. Nowadays, it's you can. I mean, the cell phone can be used as your alarm clock or anything, but the Dynabook can as good as like the Kindle that we have now, that you can only use to read books. So which is a portable in hand, which is portable in hands on personal computer. It aimed to let children have access to digital world. This project failed eventually. So sadly, it failed because of lack of technological support at that time. Until 1994, first smartphone from IBM Simon was created by Mitsubishi Electronic Corp. It was defined as a handheld personal communicator. From then on, technological companies started to design a so-called smartphone. So it all began. So, the smartphones actually become more or it became more developed because of the design of mobile learning. I mean, the concept why you can do almost everything on your phone because of this idea that they want to improve the learning on that device. So also the applications and all that. The creation of smartphones divided the platform for mobile learning, and current of mobile device innovation pushed mobile learning to project and research status. So let's focus first on chronological and learning. Research has been characterized into three phases. The first phase is the focus upon devices. So you focus on the device. It could be any device that you'd like your students uh, wants to use. And second is the focus on learning outside the classroom. This is actually the main idea of mobile learning, because when you say mobile learning, it's something that you can mobilize, that you can bring that anywhere, you can learn that everywhere. And the third phase is the focus on the mobility of the learner. So how is that student going to manage his or her time to learn what you're going to teach, right? So there are so many approaches that you can do for mobile learning. First is the classroom. So classroom management. We also have distance learning in podcasting. So podcasting is very popular for the last few years, but now many are using other devices also. For the class management, you can use uh, here in Marawi, you can use Share It application where you can send some PDF to your students. So as a teacher, if I know that there's no much internet connection here in Marawi, I can I can ask them to open their cell phone and have it and share them the information that I'd like them to read. So if I have PDFs, I'll just use Share It application and then send it to them and give them tasks after that. Distance learning also works very well for people who try to learn uh, on a distance. So if you want to learn, if there's a school that offers distance learning, it's very essential. You can download all requirements and then just submit online. So yes, podcasting and then work, learning for work, learning at and through work, cross contextual learning. So I've experienced this a lot. This kind of work setting for mobile learning. The trainer would do the same thing that I said, the Zoom and Hangout. So we learn online and I see the other employees learning from our trainer. And yes, a lifelong learning and self-learning also. So even for your parents or for your own self, you can still use mobile learning as a technique for you to improve yourself or whatever you're trying to learn. We have YouTube and other sources online that you can learn, and others as well. So the effectiveness. Let's talk about how effective it is. As I said, based on the one that I mentioned before, it's very effective for some countries. So later on, I'll discuss some samples I have here for for some countries that use a lot of mobile learning. So the study highlights that M-learning is a novel education, a novel educational strategy that is rapidly developing in the field of health professional education. 21 of the 29 include studies, 72% published between 2014 and 2017. It's clear that M-learning is emerging educational strategy. And the value of this one, it is important to bring new technology into the classroom. So as a teacher, you have to be updated on that's going to be best for your students, because if your students will only learn the traditional way of teaching, and when they go out of the classroom they see how high tech, how the new technology works, it will be boring for them if they come back to school and then apply the same old techniques. So might as well just follow the trend. If you think that this one works for your students, then use it. You can try it out. If it doesn't work, then try other things. And second is the device use are more lightweight than books and PCs. Yes, that is correct. Mobile learning can be used to diversify the types of learning activities students partake in, a blended learning approach. Right. And we have mobile learning supports and learning process rather than being integral to it. So basically, mobile learning only supports. It's not going to be, it's not really an integral. But as I said, as we are moving on, it becomes integrated to the whole process of learning. So you can, some schools, you cannot have a grade without using this kind of way of learning. So you have to read first, because in some school or in some companies, they have their own website where you can access. You'll be given username and password, so it can be seen if you're able to read, if you're able to pass the test on that website. So it's mandatory. So I think nowadays it's not only that it supports, but it's more of it integrate to the learning process for the traditional way of teaching. And we have M-learning can be designed to combine decision making in complex learning scenarios with formative scoring and assessment. So there. And there are challenges, of course. First is the connectivity and battery life. You have to make sure there's always electricity. Some schools here in some rural area, there's no electricity, so that's going to be a challenge. We have meeting big screens and size and key size. Because some students have better phones and some don't have, so it's going to be a challenge that your other students might be using some cell phone, but doesn't really work well. Also, meeting required bandwidth for nonstop and fast streaming. So yeah, this is all about the internet connection and content security and copyright issue from authoring group. This could be an issue as well, because sometimes when you get a lot of information online, you don't know there are copyrights, and you give out those information to your students without really having thinking about you are trying to distribute this information that is not allowed. So also security, because small tablets can be taken away from you. So there. And the growth, let's talk about the growth. There are so many challenges, by the way, that you are familiar with. That's what I said here. Sometimes the limited memory of your phone, and also because we are innovating every once in a while, the risk of sudden obsolescence. So it's becoming high tech and high tech. So you always have to update your cell phone as well. So it's going to be a challenge as well, and many more. And let's talk about the growth. Mobile learning is widely used in schools. That is right. Workplaces, museums, cities, rural areas around the world. In comparison to traditional classroom pedagogical approaches, mobile learning allows widened opportunity for timing, location, accessibility, and context of learning. So we can have this testing, surveys, job aids, just in time learning, location-based, and contextual learning. So these are samples of way of using mobile learning, like as what we already discussed about the gamification. So delivering learning to cellular phones using two ways: SMS messages. Because I've read some articles somewhere in New Zealand that some students or some teachers use, where is it? Was it in, oh, sorry. This was used in around the world. Somewhere in Africa, they still use, because of the lack of material. They have extreme shortage of teaching materials. They even use a cell phone. Like the teacher would send a text message to each of the students and then provide something to read through text. So that's going to be very challenging because it has limits. I've read some articles here that I see in sub-Saharan Africa. So they use SMS as a way of learning for them. So sometimes the teacher would ask question to students. Each of them would respond through the text message. So cloud computer file storage, so that's the memory or capacity of the computer or the tablet or cell phone. So yes, let me check here. So basically for M learning, this is very essential. But before I go on and talk about everything, I'd like to share a video that it says here. This was, I hope you can hear this one. Let me just play this one.
The last trend we want to highlight is mobile learning, and it's a kind of overarching trend that embraces all of the other ones. I've been working in the area of mobile learning since the late 1990s, carrying out research and design in this area. And in the very early days, the focus was about how do you deliver content onto small devices. But we had a big project in the early 2000s called MobiLearn, with around 23 different companies and institutions, universities, and we realized that what's essential about mobile learning is not the device, but the mobility of the learner, that we can learn across different contexts.
So yeah, that's very essential. It's not really about the mobile or the device, but it's actually the mobility of the learner. On that, whenever they go out of the classroom, how are they going to continue learning using mobile learning? All right, so let me just continue.
Learn across different locations, we can learn across different social contexts as we engage with different communities. And even within one location, we can employ different technologies. We can move from one technology to another. So now the focus is on the mobility of the learner and on the notion of seamless learning, how you can connect learning from formal settings, such as this space here, to more informal settings, such as the discussions you're going to have after this presentation, in the cafe, at home. So how can you connect that learning seamlessly across contexts? So the notion of context is really important for mobile learning. And if you're going to design mobile learning, you need to think about the context of the learner, not just where they are, but who they're engaging with. And there's two aspects to that then. One is the seamlessness. How can you connect learning that might start in a classroom and then continue in other places, in other social settings? And then how can you then synthesize that, perhaps back in a classroom setting? The other is about how you can harness the value of context. For instance, if there are employees from your company who are working on the move, who are engaged in field trips, engaged in visits, how can you get them then to capture that workplace experience and share it with other people? So I'm doing some consultancy for the Swiss government, and as you probably know, Switzerland has a very highly developed vocational education training. But they've got a big issue, which is how they connect the work that goes on in the workplace and the learning from that work back into the classroom training. And they're using mobile technologies to capture critical incidents through e-portfolios, through head-mounted cameras. Workers, employees capture those incidents and then share them in the classroom with their teachers and with other employees. And they've got a platform to do that, and it's very enriching because it brings those workplace experiences into a setting where they can be analysed and synthesised.
So I think one of the interesting things here is a recent survey indicated that people look at their mobile phones 10 times an hour. And equally, it's always something that I'm sure if I went around the room, you'd all have your mobile phone either in your bag or your thing. So it's something in your pocket. So it is something that you constantly have with you. What it does also indicate is that because of that familiarity and because you always have it with you, it's an excellent device to deliver very much bite-sized learning. It's those sort of prompters and reminders. So what we're seeing is one of the major UK banks are doing a lot of stuff around small gamification type projects and small learning, almost games with point scoring that they're deploying on a mobile platform to educate on quite standard business subjects, but equally making it a more interesting, gamed competition environment. We're equally seeing these being deployed for school projects as well, because again, students see this as being a very friendly, excuse me, very friendly environment to actually learn. And I think people are now looking that, particularly when within the capability of the smartphone, that it becomes location dependent or location tracking, is that ability to deliver learning on the fly, which is relating to the particular situation that the employer may be actually situated in at the time.
Mobile learning is very essential. It's very important nowadays that most of the teacher has to learn and use in the classroom. Um, so that's my report for today. I'm going to talk and discuss more in the future. And thank you so much for listening. Have a good day.